let's push back the boundaries a little bit. We know that life goes on pretty much as it's gone on, and as it's going to go on. Not a great deal of difference. And actually, if there's a huge amount of difference, it would be very, very stressful. But let's just play a game. Supposing that life is not going to be exactly the same after we leave this workshop. Suppose that this was the first weekend in a completely new life. What would that require? Well, it would require some kind of miracle. Miracles happen when we're ready to help them to happen. So now I'd like you to think, what would you personally have to do in order to make this the first weekend in a new life for yourself? What would you need to commit to? What kind of differences would you have to make in your life, in your attitudes, in the things that you do? Make a list. What would you have to do? What is stopping you, or how are you stopping yourself from making that kind of difference? And what would you need to help yourself to stop stopping yourself? In other words, what do you need to help yourself step over the obstacles and into a new way of being with yourself and a new way of acting? Okay? So it's, what would you need, what personal commitment do you need to make this the first weekend in a new life? What would you need to do? What are you doing at the moment that stops you from doing those things? And what do you need? What kind of support, help, advice, understanding do you need to help you to step over those obstacles and actually move forward in a positive way? Okay, so you can take 10 minutes just individually to think through that, and then just jot down on your paper. When I've been speaking, I've already mentioned the word spirit, spiritual, and I've made a distinction between spiritual and material. Now we know that in material society there's a huge body of opinion that actually there's no such thing as spiritual, there's only matter. And that what we call life is just a material phenomenon. When we die, that's it. Spirit just does not exist. Neither the individual spirit nor the supreme divine spirit. All of that doesn't exist. So when we talk about spirituality, we talk about spiritual progress, spiritual happiness, we're actually flying in the face of a large body of opinion and feeling in society. And I want to show clearly that this is a reasonable way of looking at things. It's a rational way of looking at things. It's an effective way of looking at things. And that materialism is actually, it's not a consistent way of looking at the world. It's false, actually. It contradicts known facts, and it doesn't even make that much sense. So where I'm coming from, I graduated from Oxford in natural sciences, and then I've been initiated into 2 spiritual traditions, and from that position, being within spiritual traditions, I've looked with a scientific view at what is life, how does life work, and what is spirituality. And I've spent many years, like 30 years, evaluating the evidence. And the conclusion is that actually the life force is not a material phenomenon. And I'd just like to explain how we can come to that conclusion. If you look around yourself, you'll see artificial objects, like we've got lights here, a video camera, a computer. These things can't come together, or they don't come together through physical laws, physical interactions. Somebody has to make them. Why does somebody have to make them? Not only they wouldn't come together, they couldn't come together. If you calculate the probability that a silicon crystal would appear in nature, pure silicon crystal, or pure copper, or the forms that we see in these artificial objects, mathematically, there's no way that they could come together through physical interactions alone. They need a helping hand. What's that helping hand? Well, from consciousness. We're conscious beings. We have the sense that I am doing this. What is this I? I can remember when I was 5, I was 10, I was 15, I was 20. I was the same individual, although my body's changed. My 5-year-old body doesn't exist now. My 10-year-old body doesn't exist now. And even the personality I had when I was 5 and when I was 10 and when I was 20 and when I was 30, those personalities have also changed. But yet it's I. I have the same passport. My parents can remember when I was a little baby before I can remember at all, but they remember that it's the same person who's growing up. So there's a continuity there. I have a direct experience that something, my I-ness, does not change. But matter's changing. That's the characteristic of matter, it's always changing. And even the body, which is also material, this body is also changing. So then we can understand that this conscious I, individual self, is not material. So what is not material? It's spiritual. What is the characteristic of spirit? Well, first of all, it has personal existence, constant personal existence. We see that things in the material world, they don't have real individuality. They become part of something else, part of something else, part of something else. But I have personal self-existence. And I have the potential for knowledge. And I want to increase that. I want to know more. Knowledge and ability. That's why I'm here. I want to learn more. And I have the potential for happiness, especially in relationships. Matter does not have these things. So scientifically we can say, because science actually depends on these things as well. Scientifically we can say that the individual conscious self is not a material phenomenon. It's a non-material phenomenon. We use that word spirit to describe something which is non-material and which has conscious characteristics which make it completely different, quite the opposite, from inert matter. Simple demonstration, practical demonstration, that the conscious self, the spiritual self, can do things that matter can't do. We actually have inconceivable potency. A potency from the material point of view, it's inconceivable, it can't even be described. I'll just give some simple examples. For example, if you balance, somebody who's good at balancing, they can balance a pole, a rod on their finger and something on the rod and something on top of that, and they can keep it balanced for a long time, a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. If you put the same pole and try and balance it just by standing it up on the floor, it'll fall over in 2 seconds. Means that people can do what matter can't do. We have a special inconceivable potency. And I'd just like you to just think of some things to do that matter can't do. Like you can draw a picture, we'll make some card houses as well. And we'll have a look and you can see some of the things that a conscious person can do in a couple of seconds or a matter of minutes that would never come together in the history of the universe just by physical interactions alone. Okay, take it like this. Now the question is there any conceivable physical process that's going to produce even such a simple structure as that? Well, you see, actually it's not. No arrangement of whirlwinds or floods or thunderbolts or anything is going to produce a simple structure like this of cards just built up, balanced one on top of the other. This is just very, very, very simple, basic demonstration of the inconceivable potency of the living entity to do something that physical laws can't do.